अरहंत सिद्ध सुर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाश की मांगलिक उपकारी है। तीन को स्वरूप जानी रागते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाय स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम्ही से काज सब आज भयो कर जोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहते हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। नमः समय साराय स्वानुभूत्या चकासते चित स्वभावाय भावाय सर्वभावांतरचिदे। Acharya Kunkundev Samaysar that we began from yesterday. We did the first Kalash, Nama Samaysarai. We will be always reciting this as a Mangla Charan of Samaysar. Today we are going to start the second Kalash. Anantadharmastatvam Pashyanti Pratyagatmana Anekantamai Murti Nityameva Prakashatam. Hindi is also translation is given. देखे पर से बिन अगणित गुणमय आत्मा अनेकांतमय मूर्ति सदा प्रकाशित ही रहे. So in this particular Kalash, Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev wishes that this Jinvani be always available for those seekers who wants to get into the path of liberation and get liberated. So in this particular Kalash, they have expressed their feeling that this Jinvani should always be available, which is illuminating the path of liberation to all the seekers. So we'll see the description. May that Anekantmayi Murti. What is this Anekantmayi Murti? They have got three meanings. The first is right knowledge, Samyak Gyan. The second meaning is omniscience knowledge, Keval Gyan. And the third meaning is the Jinvani. Okay? Om Dhvani. Tirthankars Om Dhvani. Also called Jinvani. So this Anekantmayi Murti is referred to as three things. One is right knowledge, omniscience knowledge, and the Jinvani. Okay. So right knowledge and omniscience knowledge sees the looks at the soul. Okay. And this Jinvani shows the soul. Okay. So may that Anekantmayi Murti, embodiment of non-absolutism, which beholds, knows, and illuminates its own true self-nature as unified, endowed with infinite properties, Ananta Dharmatmak, okay, endowed with infinite properties, and which is somewhat distinct. It's different from non-self substances. So basically this Anekantmayi Murti is showing us the, not showing us, this Anekantmayi Murti sees the pure soul, and the Jinvani, which is another meaning of Anekantmayi Murti, shows the soul. Okay. So these two, first two sees the soul. Sees the soul means they look at the soul. Right knowledge object is also soul, and in omniscience knowledge also it has manifested just because he was concentrating on the self. Okay. So both first two meaning of Anekantmaya Murti also refers to the knowledge, right knowledge and omniscience knowledge. And the third one is about the Jinvani. Okay, Dravya Shut. It is also called Dravya Shut. Okay. So this soul, pure soul, is distinct from non-self substances. So apart from self, everything is non-self for us. So it is distinct from the non-self substance, number one, from their attributes and modes. Whose attributes? Non-self substances and their attributes and modes. So it is distinct from non-self substance. It is distinct from attributes and modes of non-self substances and from the inner distorted modification. What is this inner distorted modification? That arise due to their nimit? Okay. So what is acting as a nimit here? Non-self substance, and their attributes and modes acts as a nimit, instrumental cause, and here in soul's modification, distorted modification. That means alien disposition, vibhav, okay, passions, auspicious, inauspicious sentiments, all put into one category from the inner distorted modification that arise due to their nimit. So this inner distorted modification never arises by taking shelter in the soul. Okay. It always arises when there is an external inclination. Okay. When there is a rise of karma which is acting as an instrumental cause. Okay. Although it is happening in the soul's modification, but it does not belong to the soul. The soul is different, distinct from these three. Number one, non-self substances. Number two, their attributes and modes. And number three, distorted modification. So the pure soul is distinct from all these three. Okay. Ever remain radiant and victorious. So this Jinvani should always remain radiant and victorious. In explaining the meaning of this verse, Pandit Jaichandji Chhabra writes, read, Darshidi, you read.
Okay, Jai Jinendra. In explaining the meaning of this verse, Pandit Jaichan Chichabra writes, here the image of Saraswati is saluted in the form of benediction. The commonly known worldly image of Saraswati is not the true one. Hence, its real nature has been described here. Right knowledge, Samyatnan, itself is the true form of Saraswati. Among these, the highest and complete knowledge is Kevalgnan, omniscience, in which all substances become directly manifest. Since it directly perceives the self-nature, Atma Tattva, endowed with infinite properties, Anant Dharma, it is the true image of Saraswati. Correspondingly, Shrut scriptural knowledge, which perceives the Atma Tattva indirectly, is also the image of Saraswati. Likewise, Dravya Shrut, that is the verbal form of scripture, is also her image, because through the words it reveals the soul possessed of manifold properties.
Stop.
Thus,
Just stop. So three meanings. First one is the right knowledge, Samyak Gyan. Okay, that is the first meaning of Anekantmaya Murti. The second is the omniscience knowledge, and the third one is the Srut Gyan. Okay, Srut Gyan here means the Jinvani, Dravya Shrut Gyan. Okay, Dravya Shrut means Jinvani, scriptural knowledge, which perceives the Atma Tattva indirectly. Okay. So first two, they are directly perceiving the soul, and the third one, that is the Jinvani, it is depicting the soul. Okay, indirectly, is also the image of Saraswati. So generally speaking, Saraswati is a goddess uh, in according to Hinduism, and she is responsible for imparting knowledge into the minds of seekers or students. Okay, so when we used to go to school, every year in our school we used to celebrate Saraswati Puja. At that day there were no classes, only different kinds of uh, events and puja. Okay, so every school celebrates the Saraswati Puja because Saraswati is the goddess which is responsible for imparting in us the knowledge, education, vidya. Okay, so that Saraswati Murti is the one which is famous in the worldly existence. But here the Saraswati Murti they are referring is this right knowledge, omniscience knowledge, and the Jinvani. Okay, so these are the three meanings. So first one, right knowledge is Bhaushrut Gyan, then omniscience knowledge is Keval Gyan, and then Jinvani is Dravya Shrut Gyan. Okay, Dravya Shrut. So physical Jinvani. Continue.
Thus, the image of Saraswati is such that it elucidates the true nature of all entities, Padat, as it expresses reality by multiple standpoints, Anekantmai, manifesting both as knowledge, Nan-Rup, and as speech, Vachan-Rup. For this reason, Saraswati is known by many names, Vani, Bharati, Sarada, Vagdevi, and others. This manifestation of Saraswati truly embodies Anekant, non-absolutism, for it harmonizes the infinite properties, Anant Dharmas, within one entity, Dharmi, through the expression of Syat, in some respect, without any mutual contradiction. Hence it is Satyat, true in essence. Many followers of other doctrines interpret the image of Saraswati differently, but such conceptions do not express the reality of an entity in its true sense. Here someone raises the question: the Atma has been described as possessing infinite properties, Anant Dharmas. What then are those infinite properties? In response, it is said that in a substance, vastu, existence, astitva, substantiality, vastutva, knowability, prameyatva, spatial extension, pradeshatva, etc., properties, dharma, are its attributes, gunas. The continuous transformation of these gunas throughout all three times, past, present, and future, is paryay, mode, and these modes are infinite. Furthermore, in every substance, vastu, there exist manifold properties, dharma, such as unity and plurality, ekatva, anekatva, permanence and impermanence, nityatva, anityatva, difference and non-difference, bhedatva, abhedatva, purity and impurity, sudatva, asudatva, and many others. These general properties are expressible through words, but there are also countless other special properties that cannot be expressed in words. These are accessible only through knowledge. Since the Atma too is a substance, vastu, it also possesses its own infinite properties, dharma. Should I stop?
Now continue.
Okay. Among the infinite dharmas of the Atma, Chetanatva, consciousness, is an extraordinary property. It is not found in other non-conscious substances. Though innumerable sentient substances, Jivdravyas, exist, and each indeed possesses consciousness, yet the consciousness of each is distinct from that of the others by its very own nature. Since every substance has its own separate spatial units, Pradesh Ved, therefore one can never merge with those of another. That consciousness, being pervasive within the infinite dharmas of the soul, is therefore called the true essence, tattva, of the Atma. It is this that the Murti manifestation of Saraswati perceives and reveals. In this way, through it, the welfare of all living beings is accomplished. Hence the benedictory words, "May you ever remain radiant," are uttered in her praise.
Stop. So you see three kinds of uh, meaning for the Anekantmai Murti, which is again Saraswati's Murti. Okay. So right knowledge, omniscience knowledge, and the Jinvani or the Dravya Shrut. Okay. So in each and every soul, there are different kinds of attributes. So four words are generally used. One is attribute, that is gun. Then we have properties, dharma. Then we have nature, swabhav, and then we have shakti, power. So all these four words are synonymous when looked at from the gross point of view. But when you look from the subtle point of view, each is a bit different. Attributes has a modification, okay, but it is individual. Properties are always in pairs. Just now we saw nitya, anitya, ek, anek, tat, atat. So these are in pairs, but they don't have a modification. Then there is nature, swabhav. So nature is one which is never absent. It is always present in the substance. Okay. It has also not got any modification. And the last one is power, Shakti. So Shakti also doesn't have any manifestation. It doesn't have any modification. It directly manifests at the 13th stage. Okay. Sarvadarshitva, Sarvagnatva Shakti. So these are four different types. Among the 47 powers that has been described in Samaysaar's appendix. Okay. So for having different meanings, although at a gross level they are all synonymous, but at a subtle level each is different. So here what we are discussing is about the properties. Okay. Among the infinite dharmas of the Atma, Chetanatva is an extraordinary property. It is not found in other non-conscious substances. Though innumerable sentient substances, Jeev Dravyas exist, and each indeed possesses consciousness, yet the consciousness of each is distinct from that of the other by its very own nature, since every substance has its own separate spatial units, Pradesh Bhed. Therefore, one can never merge with those of another. That means each remains independent. Not a single substance mixes with another substance. There are infinite souls here right now, but each soul is different from another soul. Each and every soul exists in its own uh, existence. Okay, it never touches or it never mixes up with any other soul. So that consciousness being pervasive within the infinite dharmas. So this consciousness is spreading within the infinite dharmas of the soul, is therefore called the true essence of the Atma. Okay, so this consciousness nature is only existing in the soul. No other substance has these characteristics in them. It is this that the Murti, manifestation of Saraswati, perceives and reveals. Perceives means dekhti hai, it is seeing, and reveals means dikhati hai, it is showing off. Okay. In this way, through it, the welfare of all living beings is accomplished. Okay. Through it means through this Murti, Saraswati Murti. Okay. Hence the benedictory words, may you ever remain radiant. are uttered in her praise. So may you ever remain radiant means Sada Prakash Roop Raho. So this Jinvani should flow, okay? And it's going to flow up to the end of this fifth era, which is another 18,500 years from now, okay? So whoever comes in that phase period, and if he's a seeker, he will definitely get this Jinvani, and he will read these, understand it, and get it into the path of liberation. Now, what Panditji Jaichandji Chabda has to say about this? Continue. Priyanka.
Rajendra sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm driving right now.
Okay.
So, sorry. I'll reach home in 15 minutes, sir.
No problem. Sasi Kalaji, you can read?
Pandit Jason Chabra includes within the words Saraswati, no?
Yeah.
Three aspects: Shrutajnana, sorry, scriptural knowledge, Kevala Jnana, omniscience, and Vani, speech. Whereas the Kalash Tikakara Pandey Rajmalji, no? Rajmalji
Yeah.
interprets it is as referring slowly to Vani, speech. This indeed is the Anekanta, non-absolute path of the detached, that is Vitaraga, according to whichever standpoint, that is Apeksha, that is one who wishes to express, that alone appropriately applies. The Kalash commentator Pandey Rajamalji has taken the meaning of the word Payasati,
Pashyanti.
Pashyanti, that is see, Pashyanti as experiential, Anubhava, Anubhushila, and the import of experiential. Experiential is explained as follows. Speech, Vani is an accordance with the omniscience, sarvajnata. That is, its nature is to evolve in conformity with the knowledge of the omniscient, that is sarvajna. Pandit Jayachandji has explained Pashyanti in this manner. Bhavashruta Jnana. Bhavashruta Jnana sees the Atma indirectly, that is Paroksha, that is indirectly. Kevala Jnana sees the Atma directly, Pratyaksha, and drives speech. Divya Dhvani reveals Atma. That's all, or some. Continue?
No, let me explain this one. So, Pandit Jaichandji Chabda has given these three meanings that we already discussed. Shrut Gyan, scriptural knowledge, that is right knowledge. Okay, that is the first meaning. Omniscience, knowledge, is the second meaning. And the Vani or the Jinvani, speech. Okay. Whereas the Kalash Tikakar Pandey Rajmalli interpret is as referring solely to Vani, Jinvani, okay, speech. This indeed is the Anekant, path of the detached. According to whichever standpoint one wishes to express, that alone appropriately applies. So there is a contradiction, like Pandit Jaichandji Chabda has specified three meanings of Saraswati, and Pandit Pandey Rajmalji has only given one meaning. But there is no contradiction because this is all Anekant, non-absolutism. So things are from different perspective, it looks in a different manner. Okay. The Kalash commentator Pandey Rajmalji has taken the meaning of the word Pashyanti. Pashyanti means to see, dekhti hai. Okay. As experiential, anubhavshil. And the import of exponential is explained as follows. Speech is in accordance with omniscience. Okay. Sarvagna Anusar. Because all this, whatever we have in terms of scripture, has all come from the Tirthankar omniscient. Okay. Through his divine sound, Divya Dvani. And then in that lineage, some of the acharyas were not able to pass to the next set of people, so they wrote this scripture. Okay. And that's how the Jinwani started writing. Before that, it was only mouth to mouth publicity. Okay. But now no one takers. So the Acharya thought that let me write it down. Some seeker will come later on and he will read the scripture and he will connect to the soul and he will get it into the path of liberation. Okay. With that in mind, the Jinwani was written. So the Jinwani is nothing but the same lineage from the Tirthankar that has come to us. Okay. So this Jinwani is also in accordance with omniscience. That is, its nature is to evolve in conformity with the knowledge of the omniscient. Pandit Jayachandji Chabda has explained Pashyanti in this manner. Bhavshrut Gyan, okay, that is Samyak Gyan, Bhavshrut Gyan, sees the Atma indirectly, because Mati and Shrut are indirect knowledge, okay, and Avdi, Mana, Paryay and Keval Gyan are direct knowledge. So since this is, they are talking about Bhavshrut Gyan, okay, sees the Atma indirectly, Paroksh. Keval Gyan sees the Atma directly, Pratyaksh. And divine speech reveals the Atma. Divine speech shows us the nature of the soul. Okay. Now, the next set of discussion coming up. So, Rajashri ji, you read.
Here, someone may argue, since the speech is non-conscious, why it should be saluted. In response to this, the Kalash commentator Pandit Rajmalji has stated that the speech Vani follows omniscience, more in making known the true nature of entities, beginning with Jeev, etc. Speech is an instrumental cause. Therefore, speech too is an worthy of reverence. Kavivat Pandit Banarsi Das, keeping in view the sense expressed in the Kalash Tika, renders the meaning of the foresaid verse, which recalls the non-absolutist omniscience doctrine in his Natak Samaysar, as follows. The omniscient Aryan Bhagwan, the possessor of infinite attribute guns through abiding in the 13th spiritual stage, Gunstan, known as the Sayog Jinn, and thus associated the activities of yoga, body, speech, and mind, is in reality distinct from them. From the lake-like heart of the Arhant Bhagwan arises like a river the sacred stream of the omniscience doctrine, which flows into the ocean of spiritual knowledge, comprising the
Scriptural
12
knowledge, scriptural knowledge.
scriptural ocean of scriptural knowledge, comprising the 12 limbs of the canon in the canonical treatise. The sacred stream of the omniscience doctrine is described as embodying infinite viewpoints and as expounding the true nature of. Although this sacred stream of omniscience doctrine eternally flows radiant and victorious in the world, it is perceived only by the wise. The ignorant fall to perceive it. The Atma, which is
Fail. The ignorant fail to perceive it.
the Atma, which is distinct from all external and non-self substances, different from instrumental, external, non-self dispositions, and wholly absorbed in its own nature, is called the Paryatya Atma.
Pratyaga Atma.
Pratyagatma.
Hmm.
Here, the manifold vision Saraswati has been described as the revealer of this Pratyag Atma, and a wish has been expressed for an external radiance. The purport is the discussion and expositions concerning the Pratyak Atma form of Nij Bhagwan Atma should continue unceasingly, for it is the exposition of this Pratyak Atma's true nature that becomes the instrumental cause in directing the seal-soaking soul towards a path of liberation. I continue, sir?
Yeah. 4 paragraphs are
For,
there.
for the attainment of the right belief, the presence of attainment of the omniscience discourse is also indispensable. The sentiment expressed in this benedictory homage to the omniscient doctrine is that the means of acquiring that omniscient discourse may ever remain accessible and available. Although through the 20 presently existing Tirthankars, such instruction is continuously available in the 2.5 continents, and therefore the many-sided image ever remains manifest. Nevertheless, so that for Bhavya Jeeves like you and me, the instruction concerning the Pratya
Pratyagatma.
Pratyaga, Pratyagya Atma may also be continuously received, and that very Pratyagya Atma may remain perpetually as the object of knowledge. The auspicious blessings have been bestowed upon all of us by revered Acharya, inspired by the sentiment that the sacred stream of the Jinvani Ganga, which reveals the pure soul, may, may continue to flow ceaselessly in this world. He undertook the composition of Atmakhyati Tika, thereby offering his contribution to the unbroken current of the Jinvani Ganga. It is likewise our sacred duty that along with the striving for our own spiritual welfare, we too should do the best of our ability, contribute with body, mind, and wealth to the ever flowing stream of the Jinvani Ganga. After expressing the auspicious wish that the Vitragvani, the passionless discourse of the omniscient and the detached supreme being, which expounds the nature of the Shuddh Atma, may ever continue to reach us all, Acharya Amrit Chandra now proceeds to state the purpose of composing this Atmakhyati Tika on the realization of the self.
Stop. So this is the end of the Kalash number 2. So we saw the references from Pandey Rajmal ji, then Pandit Banarsi Das ji. Okay. So why this Jinwani is also to be revered? So the reason is that this Jinwani is according to the omniscience knowledge. Okay. So, and that Jinwani is also serving the purpose of showing the true entity of each substances. Okay. So therefore this Jinwani is too is worthy of reverence. Okay. Then Kavivar Pandit Banarsi Das ji, keeping in view the sense expressed in the Kalash, Tika renders the meaning of the aforesaid verse, which recalls the non-absolute omniscient doctrine in this Natak Samaysaar, as follows. The omniscient Aryant Bhagwan, the possessor of infinite attributes, though abiding in the 13th spiritual stage known as Sayogi Jin, and thus still associated with the activities of yoga, body, speech and mind, is in reality distinct from them. Okay. So the soul of the Aryan Bhagwan is distinct from the soul of the from the body of the Aryan Bhagwan. Okay. From the lake-like heart of that Aryan Bhagwan arises like a river the sacred stream of the omniscience doctrine. Okay. So through this divine sound of the Tirthankar, this Jinwani is coming to us. Okay. This Jinwani Ganga, which flows into the ocean of scriptural knowledge. Okay. Srut Sindhu, comprising the 12 limbs of the canon, Dvatsang. So this Dvatsang has also come from whom? The Tirthankars, through their divine sound. Okay. This Dvatsang, where earlier days it was only mouth to mouth, the Tirthankar would convey these preachings through his Divya Dvani, and each and every individual used to understand in their own language. Okay. So in the canonical treatises, Siddhant Shastra, this sacred stream of the omniscience doctrine is described as embodying infinite viewpoints and expounding the true nature of. Although this sacred stream of the omniscience doctrine eternally flows, radiant and victorious in the world, it is perceived only by the wise. The ignorant fail to perceive it. So this Jinvani is there since time immemorial, but only the wise are able to understand it, read it, understand it, and manifest right belief. The ignorant fail to perceive it. So whoever realizes his self and becomes happy, he will always have this feeling that let others also get access to this kind of knowledge and they also become happy. Okay. The Atma, which is distinct from all external non-self substances. Okay. This is first part. Second part, different from instrumental, external, non-self disposition, naimitic parbhava, and wholly absorbed in his own nature is called Pratyag Atma. So what is the difference between a pure soul and Pratyag Atma? Okay. So Pratyag Atma, when we say Pratyag Atma, means the soul which is different from non-self substances, which is different from its modification and attributes, which is different from the manifestations that has arisen in the modification of the soul due to the instrumentality of these two things, the non-self substance itself and the attributes and modification of non-self substance. Okay. So they both act as an instrumental cause, and here the distorted modification is manifested in the modification of the soul. Okay. So the pure soul is different from all these three. So there are two ways of expressing it. One is the pure soul having infinite attributes, remains pure all the time. Okay. That is from the positive side. And from the negative side, it is distinct from non-self substance, distinct from its attributes and modification, and distinct from the distorted modification of the soul. So when you differentiate the soul from these three, then it is called Pratyagatma. Okay. So Pratyagatma is the pure soul, but only this has been described in relation to this three things: non-self substance, their attributes and modification, and the third one is the distorted modification that has arisen in the soul's modification. Okay. So when you see this different from these three, then it is called Pratyagatma. And another thing that is about Pratyagatma is that it is wholly absorbed in his own nature. Okay. One first part is it is different from non-self substance, different from its attributes and modification, and different from its distorted modification. Okay. And wholly absorbed in his own nature is called Pratyag Atma. Here, manifold visioned Saraswati has been described as the revealer of this Pratyagatma, and a wish has been expressed for her eternal radiance. So let this Jinvani remain eternal radiance. Okay. So those seeker who wants to know the nature of the soul, they will understand by listening to this Jinvani, by reading this Jinvani. Okay. The purport is that discussions and exposition concerning the Pratyag Atma, form of Nij Bhagwan Atma, should continue unceasingly, for it is the exposition of this Pratyagatma's true nature that becomes the instrumental cause in directing the self-seeking souls towards the path of liberation. For the attainment of right belief, the presence of attainment of the omniscient's discourse, Desna Labdhi, is also indispensable. The sentiment expressed in this benedictory homage to the omniscient doctrine, Jinvani, is that the means of acquiring that omniscient's discourse may ever remain accessible and available to all seekers. Whoever wants to know the true nature of the pure soul, for them it should remain accessible and available. Although through the 20 present existing Tirthankars, such instruction is continuously available in the 2.5 continents, Dhaidip, and therefore the many-sided image ever remains manifest. Nevertheless, so that for Bhavya Jivas like you and me, the instruction concerning the Pratyagatma may also be continuously received, and that very Pratyagatma may remain perpetually as the subject of our knowledge. This auspicious blessing has been bestowed upon all of us by the revered Acharya. Inspired by the sentiment that the sacred stream of the Jinvani, Ganga, which reveals the pure soul, may continue to flow ceaselessly in this world, he undertook the composition of Atma Khyati Tika commentary, thereby offering his own contribution to the unbroken current of the Jinvani Ganga. It is likewise our sacred duty that along with striving for our own spiritual welfare, we too should, to be the best of our ability, contribute with body, mind and wealth to the ever-flowing stream of this Jinvani Ganga. Okay. Now the third kalash where
Sorry,
Acharya...
Raghu, can I ask you a question?
Yes, yes.
In this last sentence, the word wealth has been used. Contribute with body, mind, and wealth.
Mm.
So, what do they mean by this wealth?
So what we have at our disposal, say like body, then mind, then speech, and then this wealth, good associations, all that we have got. Okay. So we should used all these resources that we have for the ever flowing stream of this Jinvani Ganga. So if you have enough wealth, then spend wealth after popularizing this Jinvani. Let it reach to the masses. Each and every individual should read this Jinvani and be happy. Okay. So wealth is quite correct word, because it's not body, mind and speech. It is body, mind, wealth, whatever you have, that you should submit to the spreading of Jinvani. Okay. Now, third kalash is starting. After expressing the auspicious wish that the Vitragvani, the passionless discourse of the omniscient and detached Supreme Soul, which expounds the nature of the Shuddhatma, may ever continue to reach us all. Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev now proceeds to state the purpose of composing this Atma Khyati commentary on the realization of the self. Okay. So this is the Kalash number 3. I will read the Sanskrit one. पर परिणति ते मोहार नानो भवा दविरत मनुभाव्य व्याप्तिकला व्याप्ति कलमाशिताया मम परम विशुद्धि शुद्ध चिन्मात्र मूर्ते भरवतु समयसार व्याख्येवानुभूते. So in Hindi, यद्यपि मैं तो शुद्ध मात्र चैतन्य मूर्ति हूँ, फिर भी परिणति मलिन हुई है मोदय से. परम विशुद्धि को पावे वह परिणति मेरी, समय सार की आत्मख्याति नामक व्याख्या से. So in this Kalash number 3, Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev express that I am writing this commentary on Samaysar scripture written by Kunkund Acharya Dev, and what fruits I want by writing this commentary. That I want that fruit, that I be involved in this, and whatever impurities I have, that should be removed. This is the only fruit that I want by writing this commentary. I don't want name, I don't want fame, I don't want power, I don't want money, nothing. I just want that this, whatever impurities that I have in the modification, although from the point of view of substance, I am pure always, but from the point of modification, there is impurity flowing in now in my modification, and I want that impurity to go away completely as a result of writing this commentary. Okay, so that is what Acharya Amritchandra Dev wants the fruits by writing this commentary, nothing else. Okay. Now you can read, Priyanka. Okay, Darshit ji, you read.
Okay. Although I am indeed the Bhagwan Atma, the pure embodiment of consciousness, nevertheless, upon obtaining the instrumental condition for the rise of that karma called delusion, moha, which is the root cause of my externally directed transformation, paraparinati, my transformation at present is tainted, defiled. Through this exposition called Atmakhyati in the Samaysar, through its commentary Tika, may that transformation of mine attain supreme purity. This alone is my auspicious aspiration. The state, parinati, of the revered Acharya Dev is already pure, Vishuddh, owing to the absence of the three major passions. Yet it is not that supreme purity, Param Vishuddhi, which yields Kevalgnan omniscience. A trace of impurity remains due to the presence of the Sanjwalan Kashais, subsiding yet lingering passions. For this reason, Acharya Dev aspires not merely for purity, but for the highest spiritual purification. No worldly or external motive has inspired him to compose this commentary. The only aspiration in his heart is that so long as his conscious activity, upyog, remains engaged in auspicious disposition, shubh bhav, it may be constantly absorbed in contemplation and reflection on the subject matter of the Samaysar alone. In this verse, in an implicit yet profound way, Acharya Dev has expressed his resolution to compose the exposition of the Samaysar, his formal declaration or vow, and also the affirmation that his true identification, Apnapam, lies solely within the pure essence, Shuddh Tattva, abiding in the inner self. For this reason, he emphatically proclaims that he is indeed the pure embodiment of consciousness, Sud Chaitanya Matra Murti, in whom there is absolutely no distortion or impurity, Vikriti. Yet, owing to the natural conditioning of modes and under the instrumental influence of the rise of delusion, Moha, a trace of impurity does appear in the modal state. May even that be removed through this exposition of the Samaysar, for during the period of composing this commentary, his focus remained steadfastly fixed on the eternal nature, Trikali Shwabhav of the soul. Shall I carry on?
Yeah.
In the heart of Acharya there exists no impurity in the form of sinful disposition. The only remaining impurity is that of auspicious disposition, such as the act of writing the commentary or delivering teachings. And it is precisely this that he seeks to dissolve. He is fully aware that the impurity inherent in the intention to compose the commentary cannot be destroyed merely through the act of writing it. Yet he also knows that inwardly there abides a pure state, marked by the absence of the three passions, that owing to the absence of mithyatva, false belief, the sense of identification with non-self external, para, has been severed, and that the sense of belonging, apanapan, has been fully absorbed in his own eternal, immutable soul, Trikali Dhruv Atma. Through the power of that state and the intense inclination of the soul, even this residual conceptual activity, vikalp, shall certainly come to an end, and the upyog, mental activity, shall enter the state of pure awareness, shuddhupyog. In the second Kalash, Acharyadev had expressed the aspiration that the flow of the Jinvani, omniscient doctrine, may continue uninterruptedly, and that it may remain ever radiant. This sentiment is indeed noble and exalted, yet it does not constitute the state of Shuddhupyog, pure awareness. It is precisely this subtle impurity, the awareness that even such an auspicious intent falls short of pure self-absorption, that manifests before Acharya Dev. And it appears as though for the eradication of this very impurity, the thought arose within him to compose the commentary on the scripture imbued with the power of the pure soul, Shuddhatma. In another way, Acharya Dev also wishes to convey that studying and teaching the Samaysar, writing and explaining it, composing its commentary, engaging in its deep study, reflection, gaining through understanding of its subject matter, and deeply churning of its essence, all this constitute the causes of Param Vishuddhi, supreme purity. Through this Kalash, Acharya Amrachandra seeks both to reveal the state of his own present paryai, mode, and to inspire the study, reflection, and self-study, swadhyay, of the Jinvani, omniscient doctrine. It is as though he is saying, O spiritual capable souls, Bhavya Jivas, study the scripture, reflect upon it, read and recite it, and spread its profound subject matter among all people. Your spiritual welfare will most certainly be attained. Shall I continue?
Yes, yes. One more paragraph only.
Okay. Kavivar Pandit Banarsidas renders the purport Pavana Vada of this Kalash verse in the following manner.
Bhavanuvad.
Pavanuvad. Though from the real viewpoint, Nischay Nai, I am eternal, through all three times, nothing but the pure embodiment of consciousness, Shuddh Chaitanya Murti, yet owing to the association with external non-self modifications resembling the insentience, Jarata has appeared, just as a man having drunk the juice of Tatura begins to dance under its intoxicating effect. So too under the rise of the deluding karma, Mohinya karma, this conscious self becomes absorbed and assimilated into the other, par. Now through the exposition of the Samaysar, may I attain Paramvishuddhata, supreme purity, and may all the entanglement born of delusion be dissolved. Along with Acharya Sri Amrachandra, Pandit Banarsidas too expresses the very same sentiment in the apostate verse. In the separation.
No, this is not the part of our syllabus. So this is space remaining. So they put in something. Okay. So in this particular Kalash, Acharya Amritchandra says that although I am pure soul from the nature wise, but in my modification there exists an impurity. Now Acharya Amritchandra Dev was a true monk. Okay. That means the first three quadruplet of passions were not there with him. Okay. Only the fourth quadruplet of passion called Sanjvalan Kashai. Okay. That was only existing. But that much also he doesn't want to keep it. He wants to manifest 100% purity. So that's why he says that writing this commentary on Samaysar Kathas, what fruit I want from this activity. I don't want name, fame, money, power, nothing. I just want that my whatever impurities is existing in my modification, I want to eradicate that impurities and manifest 100% purity. That means, in spite of having destroyed the three levels of passions, he is still not satisfied, because in his vision, he wants 100% purity. So that is how you aim. If you aim big, your efforts will also be of that level. Okay. Example, like a student who wants to come first in the class, what would be his efforts? And compared to that, another student who just want to pass. Okay. There will always be a difference between the efforts of the one who wants to come first and one who wants to pass. So the bigger the dream, bigger the target, more the effort and precise the effort. Okay. So Acharya Amritchandra Dev himself sets a target that I want my 100% purity. This slightly impurity, that also I am not ready to bear. Okay. I want 100% purity. Okay. So this is the fruit that Acharya Amritchandra Dev wants by writing this commentary on Atma Khyati that has been expressed in the third Kalash. Okay. In the second Kalash, Acharya had emphasized that this Jinvani should flow, it should reach the seekers. And here he says that I want 100% purity. I want the whatever I'm doing, I want the fruit as to be manifesting the Shuddh Upyog. Okay. It is precisely this middle of the second paragraph on page 16. It is precisely this subtle impurity, the awareness that even such an auspicious intent falls short of pure self-observation. So you see what the Acharya Devs have in mind. Even this is an auspicious sentiment. Okay. Writing the commentary is an thinking about it. Okay. All these are part of the auspicious sentiment. But still, he is not satisfied with that. He wants to have 100% pure manifestation. Okay. So the awareness that even such an auspicious intent falls short of pure self-absorption that manifests before Acharya Dev. And it appears as though for the eradication of this very impurity, the thought arose within him to compose the commentary on the scripture imbued with the power of the pure soul. In another way, Acharya Dev also wishes to convey that studying and teaching the Samaysar, writing and explaining it, composing its commentary, engaging in its deep study, reflection, gaining through understanding of its subject matter, and deeply churning of its essence, all these constitute the cause of Param Vishuddhi, supreme purity. So Vishuddhi word has two meanings. One is Vishuddhi means the Shuddhopyog, pure sentiments. And another meaning is Vishuddhi is the auspicious sentiment. So here it means the auspicious sentiment. Okay. Through these colors, Acharya Amritchandra Dev seeks both to reveal the state of his own present paryay mode and to inspire the study, reflection, and self-study of the Jin Vani. It is as though he is saying, "O spiritually capable souls, study the scriptures, reflect upon it, read and recite it, and spread its profound subject matter among all people. Your spiritual welfare will most certainly be attained." So when you are preaching others, it is you only who is going to get benefit. Okay, because you will be focusing on uh, those objects which you will be discussing about. So it becomes more prominent in your knowledge. Okay, and more the prominent, the quickly you are able to connect to that. Okay, so it is the one who preaches, he is preaching only for his own welfare. He knows very well that I cannot do anything for other people. But having said that, if I share this my knowledge to others, my knowledge will become more sharper. Okay, that is the objective. Pandit Banaras Das ji also expresses similar sentiment in his Natak Samaysar. That is also similar. So I am not discussing that. So we have completed the first three colors. Now it's time to start the Samaysar Gatha number 1. Okay. So this is the Manglacharan for the Samaysar Gatha number 1. Vandittu Savasiddhe Druma Chalmano Vamam Gadim Patte Vochami Samay Pahud Mirmo Shuddha Kevali Banidam. So this also we can recite in the Manglacharan every day. So next time onwards we will recite the first Gatha and first Kalash, both as Manglacharan at the starting of the class. Okay, so now starts the main scripture Samaysar. We'll be reading the Gathas. Of course, the explanations are very detailed explanations given for each verse, but at some places we will do selective reading. Rest you can pick up as a homework. Okay. Tomorrow, if you are free, we can have one more extra class. How many you
Sure,
will
sir.
be able? Huh?
Sure, sir.
Darshit ji, okay?
I'm okay. Yes.
Sasikala ji?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then who else is there? Rajeshri ji? No, she has left. Okay, so we keep it. Whoever attends will attend. Okay. So because we had in between missed few classes, so this will be a good opportunity for us to continue. So we will continue this Samaysar Gathas 1. So let's begin this. Now you can read, Priyanka.
Yes, sir.
So start readings.
Sir, from what part? After?
After the
Okay. Jai Jinendra, sir.
okay.
After the auspicious invocation in Atmakhyati, the original verses of Acharya Kunda Kunda Samaysar now commence. The very first verse is the Manglacharan. In writing its introduction, Acharya Amrit Chandra states, Ath
Atha
Atha
Sutra Avtara.
Atha Sutra Avatara. Now begins the descent of the Sutra. The extent of reverence that Acharya Amrit Chandra holds in his heart for the Samaysar is reflected in this very statement. In the world, the word avatar is regarded as highly venerable. This word is used in the sense of the descent of the Lord for the welfare of the world. Here, by employing this very word for the original verses of the Samaysar, Acharya Amrit Chandra intends to make clear the world benefiting nature of those verses. The purport is that in these verses of Acharya Kunda Kunda, the discourse that follows concerns the supreme welfare of the world, that is Param Kalyan. The original verse of the auspicious invocation of the Samaysar is as follows.
You can skip. We already have done that.
Yeah. I bow to all the Siddhas who have attained the eternal, immovable, and incomparable state, and I shall now expound this treatise named Samaysar as spoken by the Shrutkevlis, that is, those possessing complete scriptural knowledge. In this verse, Acharya Kundakundadev, after bowing to all the Siddhas who have attained the eternal, immovable, and incomparable state, makes a vow to compose the great scripture named Samaysar, as narrated by the Shrutkevlis. The meaning of this verse is expressed by Acharya Amritchandra in the Atmakhyati as follows. This fifth state of existence, that is Pancham Gati, that is the liberated state, is eternal because it arises in dependence upon one's own intrinsic nature, that is Swabhav. It is unmoving or achal because the beginningless wandering has ceased, and it is incomparable, that is Anupam, because it is distinct from all substances of the world and endowed with marvelous glory. Since it is distinct from the triad of worldly aims, that is merit, wealth, and sensual desire, it is called apavarga, that is liberation or complete release. To all, to all those siddhas who have attained this fifth state of existence, that is Pancham Gati, who abide in the state which is the goal of my own soul, that is, the state which I must attain, the ideal I aspire to, I mentally and physically establish them within my own and others' souls through my devotional praise of their dispositions and their eternal pure substance. This treatise, named Samaysar, which reveals all substances or the pure soul, and which forms a part of the sermons of the Arihant Bhagwan, has been expounded by the Shrutkevlis and by the Shrutkevlis, that is, those who directly experience and fully know the scriptures, having its comprehensive validity established because it was composed by the omniscients, revealed through the beginningless and endless scriptures, and experienced by the Shrutkevlis themselves. Thus, through the medium of inner disposition and substantial expression, the exposition of this Samaysar begins for the destruction of the beginningless delusion of oneself and of others. All the four states of existence arise from reliance upon other substances. Therefore, they are non eternal and perishable. But the fifth state, the state of perfection, arises through reliance upon its own nature. Hence, it is eternal, imperishable, and forever the same. So, shall I continue?
Yeah, last paragraph. This one.
Okay. Although change does occur even in Siddha Dasa, that change is always of one kind. It is the nature of bliss. For this reason, it is called eternal. Since it arises through reliance upon the eternal nature that always remains the same, the Siddh Dasha is always of the nature of bliss, always of the nature of peace. But because worldly existence that assumes numerous forms, manifesting as the four realms arises in dependence upon external substances, they remain of the nature of constantly changing pleasure and pain. Even worldly pleasure is in the form of pain only, and the forms of pain too keep changing. Therefore, the worldly existence is unstable, and all the four realms are likewise unstable.
Stop. So in this first verse, Acharya Kunkundev, okay, he bows to all the siddhas who have attained the eternal. Eternal here means Dhruv, okay. Dhruv. Eternal means unchangeable, okay. Then immovable, Achal. Dhruv, Achal, and incomparable state, Anupam. So three adjectives have been used to describe the liberated state. Okay. So in the invocation of this Samaysar scripture, Acharya Kunkundev bows to the Siddhas who have attained the eternal, dhruv, immovable, achal, and incomparable, anupam state. And I shall now expound this treatise named Samaysar as spoken by the Srutkevlis, those possessing complete scriptural knowledge, Dvat Sang. Okay. So Srutkevli, one who is Srutkevli, he has to comply two conditions. One thing is that they should be self-realized. Okay. And the other condition is that they should be knowing the complete scriptural knowledge, that is Dvat Sang, 12 Anga. Okay. Dvat Sang. So if these two conditions are met, that is called Shrut Kevli. And Acharya Kunkun says that whatever I will say in this scripture, that will be according to the Shrut Kevli's lineage. I'm not saying anything on my own. Okay. I'm just conveying what I have got from the Shrut Kevlis. So in this verse, Acharya Kunkundev, after bowing to all the Siddhas who have attained thus eternal, immovable and incomparable state, makes a vow to compose the great scripture named Samaysar as narrated by the Shrut Kevlis. Now, by saying as narrated, Kunkun Acharya Dev says that this is nothing mine. I am just expressing what I have understood from the Shrut Kevlis. Okay. So the fifth state of existence, Pancham Gati, that is the liberated state, is eternal because it arises in dependence upon one's own intrinsic nature. Dependence means by taking shelter in one's own intrinsic nature, this liberated state has manifested. Okay. It is unmoving, achal, because the beginningless wandering has ceased. Now there is no death, no birth and no death, no birth and no death, because the beginningless wandering has ceased, stopped. And it is incomparable because it is distinct from all substance of the world and endowed with marvelous glory. Okay. So it is incomparable with any of the substance of this universe. It is unique in itself. Since it is distinct from the triad of worldly aims, that is merit, dharma. So dharma here means punya, merit, wealth, artha, and sensual desire, kam. So there are four kinds of efforts: dharma, artha, kam, and moksha. Okay. Out of these four, these three are called upvarg. Okay. These three are called upvarg, and moksha is what that should be our aim. To all those siddhas who have attained the fifth state of existence, okay, who abide in the state which is the goal of my own soul, that is the state which I must attain, the ideal I aspire to, I mentally and physically establish them with my own and others' soul. Okay. So in the very beginning, Acharya Kunkundev says that I am establishing the state of liberated soul in my own modification and other souls' modification. So what will happen when we establish the liberated state image in our soul and other soul? So the craving for the attachment goes away. If you establish liberated state in your own modification and others' modification, the craving or the interest in the attachment goes away. Through and other souls, through my devotional praise of their disposition, bhavstuti, and their eternal pure substance, dravya stuti. This treatise named Samaysar, which reveals all substance or the pure soul and which forms a part of the sermons of the Aryant Bhagwan, has been expounded by the Shrut Kevlis, those who directly experience and fully know the scriptures. Two conditions: those who directly experience self-realized soul, and also knowing the complete scriptural knowledge, having its comprehensive validity, praman, established because it was composed by the omniscient, revealed through the beginningless and endless scriptures, and experienced by the Srutkevlis themselves. So the main source is the Tirthankar, the omniscient. Okay, and through their lineage, it has come to the Gandhar, then Srutkevlis, then Acharyas, then scholars, then Jinvani, all same lineage. Okay. Thus, through the medium of inner disposition, bhavvachan, and substantial expression, dravya vachan, the expression of this Samaysar begins for the destruction of the beginningless delusion of oneself and of others. All the four states of existence arise from reliance upon other substances. Therefore, they are non-eternal, adhruv, and perishable. But the fifth state, the state of perfection, arises through reliance upon its own nature by taking shelter in our own nature. Hence, it is eternal, imperishable, and forever the same. Although change does occur even in Siddha Dasa, that change is always of one kind. Omniscient knowledge everywhere, every moment it is omniscient knowledge only. It is of the nature of bliss. For this reason, it is called eternal. Since it arises through reliance upon the eternal nature that always remains the same, the Siddh Dasa is always of the nature of bliss, always of the nature of peace. But because worldly existence, that assumes numerous form, manifesting as the four realms, Chaturgatis, arises in dependence upon external substance. They remain of the nature of constantly changing pleasure and pain. Even worldly pleasure is in the form of pain only, and the forms of pain too keep changing. Therefore, the worldly existence is unstable, and all the four realms are likewise unstable. So it is better to get into the fifth state. Okay, get liberated. That is the only solution to stop this cycle of birth and death, birth and death, and birth and death. So in the first first words itself, Acharya Kunkun Dev is uh, bowing to the Siddhas, the liberated soul. Okay, because that is something those who have attained, they will never come back to the worldly existence. There will not be any birth and death for them. Okay, so that particular state is eternal, immovable, and incomparable. Okay, so with this we end today's discussion. Tomorrow we will continue from here, and then we will continue towards the second verse, third verse, like that. Okay, so 1 to 25 verse is our syllabus for this sem, and then 26 to 49 in the next sem. Okay, so we will be continuing this. I will see whether in the next sem paper 1 is Samaysar or not. I think it is paper 1 is Samaysar only. So we'll be continuing it in the next semester also, this Samaysar. Okay, so that will be, we will be doing in continuity. Okay, let me finish the stuti, and then if you have questions we will take up. निज निधि निज में बताई, यह अनंत उपकार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है, उसके लिए जिन